What's up?
What's happening, guys?
Got Matt with us, and Krishna has joined.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hello,
what's up,
hello.
How you doing, Matt? Doing, guys?
man? Great to finally meet.
You too. Me too. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, happy to.
Yeah, how's life been treating you, Matt?
Life is good. It's it's busy. I got the kids, the family. Like there's always something going on. Always something going on in the Cognisphere, markets, what have you. So it's all been good.
Wait, slow. I didn't know you had a tattoo. Let me see that. Looks awesome. Show it.
Nah.
You look cool, man.
It's how do I show this?
So
It's
wow,
a
nice.
samurai sword that I'm actually planning on having covered up at some point because
Oh, it's pretty cool though.
thanks. I didn't
I just
like
like it.
the way I wanted it to turn out. It didn't turn out that way. And so whatever. It was also my first tattoo because I was young and dumb, and you're like, what am I going to do? I'm going to get a fucking gigantic samurai sword on my arm and, be cool about it. But no, at some point it's going to get covered up. So,
Oh, okay. Well,
You should see if you can like change it into something SPX related.
I might.
Exactly.
Well, I've already said I'm going to get the bottom tat or a bottom lip tattoo. So,
oh yeah,
there will
There
be
you
that
go.
if nothing else.
nice.
Matt, do you have like an updated your picture? Is that like a updated PFP photo or is it an old one or what?
No, it's just like I just took a snippet of the same thing Krishna's got.
Okay.
So it's just like a little snippet.
Yeah, cool.
I think there's so many different versions. 'cause it keeps
Mosaic is
growing.
much bigger at this point, so it was hard to like fit into a background.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody called you, Matt, the Warren Buffett of SPX. I saw that tweet. I thought it was hilarious.
I think that's ridiculous.
Mr. Buffett's with us today. The Beck.
Yeah, I wonder how he would think about that.
I think he loves SPX. He just doesn't know it yet.
He's
I
secretly
almost-
accumulating.
I almost made Warren Buffett be the background of my video. Maybe I should have. That's funny.
I do like your background though. Slow.
Yeah,
What's the
yeah.
song?
I don't know who made it,
Uh,
but it's like
That's good.
it's really good.
Yeah.
That is good.
Kills me.
T-Dog's on. It's late for you, dude. I know it's late for you.
Is it late or early?
Late.
Okay.
Yeah, probably really late, right?
Yeah, it'd be like 2-ish, I think. 2 or 3 maybe.
Dang.
Aeons don't sleep though, so
Oh yeah, Aeon DCA day today. That's right. It's the 69th day of the year. That was memed pretty hard. I've kind of forgotten about it.
it was the
Oh,
Aeon DCA today.
I DCA'd today, so no worries.
Yeah, I DC every day anyway, but I didn't know I should have DCA'd
too.
more for it, but it's okay.
I didn't do a little special. Okay, Matt, where do you DCA at? I'm curious.
Mostly Kraken right now, to be honest.
Cool.
Yeah, I've used pretty much everything. I've used Uniswap, Kraken, like you name it.
Nice.
But yeah, Kraken's kind of my go-to.
Mine's been Coinbase lately. I think I have the Coinbase One thing because I have a credit card with them, so I've been doing Coinbase lately.
Yeah, I got to give Kraken a little bit of a plug here because those guys are always like much more quick to support coins at the cutting edge of things, and I think we're one of the first centralized exchanges to support SPX amongst a number of other like more cypherpunk oriented assets. And I love that about them. Like, they're not like waiting for anyone to give them permission. Like they just seem more aligned with the crypto roots and like original crypto ethos, which I respect a lot.
Definitely.
And I have no like affiliation. There's no.
No, I agree with you.
This episode is brought to you by Kraken.
No, I
For all
just
your crypto
like
needs.
what they're about. Yeah.
I used to DCA on there a good bit. I've just been Coinbase. I like, honestly, Coinbase. I like the app more, honestly.
Yeah.
But so Coinbase is a big ad. I'm so glad we have that. But
Yeah, I mean, like the more access points, the better. you know, because like when I think back to my early days in Bitcoin and joining Grayscale Investments, like part of the Grayscale business was built around just providing people with more seamless access to Bitcoin. Because there were so many investors out there that were like, oh, like I see the opportunity here, but like I don't want to wire money to an exchange in Estonia where I don't know who's sitting there. Like, can you help me figure out a way to get exposure? And so like I think like creating the on-ramps, like as many different on-ramps and access points to give people a choice and an option to participate is a great thing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you see the comments, Matt? Just making sure you can see those.
I did. Now I do.
On the right, yeah. So I was making sure. I forgot to tell dubbing that to like right at the end. He was kind of glad though. He said he would have been distracted, but
yeah, like sometimes like I see him rolling it on the stock market, so you know I'm used to it, and sometimes they're totally unrelated to what we're talking about. And they laugh in the middle of an episode, but
well, y'all's is a bit more structured, so it might distract you a bit. We're
yeah, but I like both formats. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I really do.
Yes. There's room for both. So.
Yeah.
I would say Aeon Zalon it's like kind of in between. I feel like they're a little more structured than we are. I feel like, but they do. So it's kind of like in between. I feel like.
Well,
I like their stuff a lot.
Again, it's kind of like the same thing. Like it's similar to what I just mentioned about access to the coin. Like the other thing that we're trying to do is provide access to information, because most people like do not understand what SPX is at all still. And so the more channels and opportunities that we can create to educate people and show them what it's all about in different ways and different flavors, because it is so many things to so many different people. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. I was on a space earlier today with, well, actually who is that? Brayon, or is it Aeon Bro? One of them, I forget which one because their names are so similar, but I think they have a 69-year long X space going. And anyway, so I hopped on that and was talking with Saucy and a few others. And we were talking about all the different types of content now that's out there, and the different, like, people are really embracing different genres and different mediums and formats of information. Like you've got your guys' show, we've got this show, which is more, silly goof maxing, I guess, and Aeon's online, and there's Nick's YouTube, and I started recording the like written articles that people have written on SPX, and so it's cool that there's a lot of different avenues for people to get exposure to in different ways that they prefer.
Yeah, I love that, because like, again, going back to like my early days getting into Bitcoin back in early 2016, I mean, like I had my job of like trying to do things for the company, but I would say like 80% of my job around that point in time was just talking about Bitcoin, like exposing people to this idea as much as I possibly could. So like the more mediums, the more people we have talking about SPX, it's just important at this stage, because I went through this like thought experiment in the early days of Bitcoin. I said, okay, how many people are out there in the world that have not been exposed to the idea that is Bitcoin, but have had, like, at the point in time that they hear about it, are going to be interested in it, or are going to take a position in it and be a participant in the Bitcoin network. And it was very clear to me that there was just this massive imbalance between the number of people that were in Bitcoin and the number of people that, upon learning about it more, would want to participate. And I see us at a very similar juncture in our own lifespan for SPX.
Yep. And the cool thing is, if you do want to start something, to talk about it, whatever you have in mind. I saw one recently that happened with Surge's, like a satirical play with the TLC show. It was like, I'm addicted to DCAing. I thought that was hilarious.
That was awesome.
I think that's one of the best pieces of content we ever made. I thought
that was incredible. I was also thinking, like, is TLC going to come after Surge for this?
We just give more media at that point, just keep it
Please
going.
do TLC. That sounds great.
Yeah.
No, but my point is, I had somebody accuse me of getting paid by leadership as the golden boy or whatever
that.
I saw. So I was like, have you seen the first video? It's shit.
High quality production, man.
Please go back and watch the first video if you think I started getting paid. I never got paid. So this is not a way to make money. Just you should not start this to try to make money. It's a labor of love. So anyways, my point is you can start with nothing and you never know where it might go. So
yeah, totally.
I was gonna.
By the way, is TLC in the 500? They might be one of the
they might be.
Ebby's thing that went viral on TikTok. There's like the 12 brands that own like the 3,000 brands. I bet you they're in there. I bet you they're
sure. Let's see. Discovery.
They're owned by Warner Brothers, so yeah, they're definitely in there. Warner
go.
Brothers is
Yeah.
What is Discovery? Is Discovery owned by Warner Brothers?
TLC is owned by the networks division of Warner Brothers Discovery. So
gotcha.
Warner Brothers. Let's see what Warner Brothers Discovery's owner. They're owned by Advanced Publications, and
so there's like 5 different layers.
Yeah.
Of course, they're in there. I think Netflix almost bought Warner Brothers too, so there's even more consolidation among the big guys.
They're private actually, so they're technically not.
Warner Brothers is? Wow, I didn't know.
No, Advanced Publications. That's like the parent company.
Interesting.
They own 30% of Reddit. But yeah, they're private. Still like.
But Warner Brothers is on the stock. I mean, they are publicly traded.
They are.
So they own like a big stake of it. Is that what it means? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But I'm just kind of curious now.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure.
Anyways, Warner Brothers is definitely on the stock market. So
yeah, Warner Brothers Discovery. So maybe maybe
which is basically like, I mean, like pivoting along this line a little bit. That is basically a memetically oriented company. Like their whole business model is around entertainment, memes. I mean, the entire like entertainment industry is really like a memetic oriented industry.
It is.
And I think this is why a lot of, sometimes you'll see like, kind of like some strange M&A types of deals, or you'll see like CEOs of certain companies that want a media arm. And I think it's because a lot of these people recognize the power of memetics, but it's not something that's spoken about like very broadly. It's almost like they don't want you to know the secret.
Yeah.
Having control of the megaphone and the influence over people through these sort of like memetic businesses or organisms is extremely, extremely valuable.
Yeah, I don't think iTunes didn't make a ton of money for Apple, did it? I feel like that wasn't even that super profitable. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but they're having it like tied to music. I'm sure that helped propel their brand quite a bit. So even if they don't make any direct money from it, like you're saying, you get that memetic value baked in.
Yeah.
That was the thing with Netflix. I remember when it was originally, it was just so incredible because the streaming was like the technology at that time. The streaming was far superior than anything else, and I feel like that's what probably gave them that moat. But now it's all content. Now that's everything, because now it's. I think Netflix still has probably a better what's the word format or streaming capabilities than others, but that's kind of like that's not really where their competition is happening, and now it's just all pure content, which is interesting.
They were kind of like the first movers on like the low cost monthly subscription thing too. So I feel like it's like we're also like a little bit of creatures of habit, and I'll tie this into the S&P 500 as well. But we're creatures of habit, and so it's like, I've had an iPhone since, I don't know, 10 years ago, and I will probably like, it would take a lot for me to switch away from the iPhone just because I'm a creature of habit. It's convenient. I know the interface and I'm familiar with it. And it's sort of like so ingrained and, like what I do with a phone, that I don't want to move away from it, even if there's like a cheaper provider. I think Netflix did like a similar thing with content. And so like they got the initial streaming service off the ground, content, customer lock-in. It was cheap. They had, great content that people could kind of consume 24/7. There was always new stuff coming out. And so at a certain point, you cross this chasm and it becomes like ingrained. You don't even really think about moving away. It's just it's a habitual thing. And that that's like subtle, it happens slowly over time through these like repeated habits. And, tying this back to the S&P 500, like this is something that has been institutionally ingrained and memed and taught to students and people who are professionals at such a massive scale over such a long period of time that people don't ask questions about it. They just do it. But I think this is like a huge opportunity for people who start to think about like, wait, like why do people do this? What is it all about? What has kept them locked into it? And now I'm going to tie this into Bitcoin because I think this is really, really interesting. People start to actually like DCA into assets and invest passively once they see other people who have been doing well over an extended period of time. And then they say to themselves, fuck, why don't I just do that? Like, why am I doing something different than these people if they're outperforming me? There's really no reason that, I would actually be open to having like an intellectual debate with someone in the investment world about this. Maybe they could explain it to me differently, but like, there's no real reason that passive investing should outperform active investing, except for the fact that they have like achieved critical mass of herd behavior of people who just do it blindly without asking questions. So that is why, like over time, passive investing has memed by Vanguard amongst others has outperformed active investing. And then finally, people just said, shit, I'm just going to do the passive investing thing because I'm watching people who are doing this outperform. And when there's more people who can sort of layer onto that trade, that's what keeps the dollars flowing into that sort of investment and continues to give you, positive returns over time. I think I like to think of investments as like crowded or uncrowded. And the S&P 500 is the most crowded investment in the entire investment world. Like, it's certainly one of them, certainly like the tippy top of the list. And I think like you're very, very, very late to this game. Bitcoin followed a similar pattern, which is like a lot of people said the same thing about Bitcoin in the early days as they did about SPX. This is a scam. This is stupid. This is going away. And then what happened? The people who were early and stayed the course on it and stuck to their word and continued to go out and evangelize Bitcoin, 4 or 5 years went by and they outperformed everyone. And then everyone just said, oh shit, why am I not doing this? I got to get on the train, right?
Yep.
So like, this is how these kind of as weird of a phenomenon as that is, this is kind of how these things work. And so if you're like one of the early adopters of a passive investment approach in an asset that achieves a critical mass of people who say, hey, wait a minute, why am I doing these other things when I could just be doing this thing? This is like kind of where you want to play. And SPX is like one of the, like, to me, it's one of the most exciting things out there that look like this, because it's people realizing that, yeah, the S&P 500 is sort of just a passive meme coin. And Bitcoin is also sort of just a passive meme coin. Bitcoin, like there's a deeper reasoning and ethos behind that, as with SPX, that I think keeps people there and like continues to attract new people. But they're all kind of like, of the same general shape and form.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, no, that's very well said. And like this whole, we've been passively conditioned to just DCA in the S&P 500. The moment you get a job, like they just tell you, oh, here's a retirement plan. here's a list of things you can choose from, which is broadly the S&P. And like, when I first started my career, I'm like, I just didn't even want to do it. Something about it just felt wrong to just blindly put my money into this. I knew where this is going to head. I could see like, I'm not going to retire from this. Like whatever the salary is, so not even keeping in line with inflation. It just felt like defeating from the moment, but I guess people just don't even question it. And like, yeah, it's like going back to what you said about just this culture of DCAing in the SPX 6900. It's just automatic for me. That's the first thing I do. I wake up, I open up Kraken, boom. I just, depending on what the price is, if it's lower, I buy more. If it's less, I buy a little less. And like, that's it. And I feel good, you know?
This was kind of like why Bitcoin was so like such an innovation versus like a passive investment vehicle for wealth creation versus the S&P 500. Is like you can never print any more of it. Like a CEO of a company could print more stock. You know, they can print like they have shelf registrations and things like that. They could just print more stock. So this is almost like I think like Murad talks about how he thinks SPX is a perfected vehicle versus like GME, for example. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin was sort of like a perfected vehicle versus like the stock market or gold in a way, because there was never going to be more than 21 million. So that just like, I think made it, makes it more appealing. I think to your point, Krishna, like the other thing about the S&P 500 that has happened in the last couple of decades, and there's a lot of like, this is not novel information if you're paying attention, but like, it's really just tracking liquidity, and it's really just tracking money and credit expansion into the system. And it is not generating meaningful returns over and above that, whereby you're actually growing your real wealth. You might be growing nominal wealth in terms of like the numbers going up, but it's actually not going up relative to like the general basket of goods and services that we need to consume. So this is not really wealth creation, a wealth creation vehicle at all anymore. And then one other thing I would mention on that as well, which I think is like kind of a canary in the coal mine for a thesis that I have that SPX fits into. I think a thesis that many of us have that SPX fits into, including, let's say, like Murad, is look at the gold performance from the year 2000 to now, and then look at Berkshire Hathaway's stock performance from the year 2000 to now. And gold is outperforming the greatest stock investor, or like one of the greatest stocks investors, who's investing in supposedly like productive companies. Gold, a shiny rock that does nothing, is outperforming this thing. So what does this canary in the coal mine tell you? It actually tells you something is broken. Something is broken when a shiny rock is outperforming one of the best investors in the most productive companies in the country. And then this, kind of like lends its way to a new way of thinking about things, which is like, wait a second. Maybe everything I learned worked for the last 40 years, but is not going to work in the future. And maybe that most people don't fully realize or appreciate this yet. Mm-hmm. And you need to start thinking, there's probably a lot of different, I'm not saying like SPX is the only way to adapt to that reality, but you need to start thinking about what are the things that are going to do well in light of the state of the world today, and in light of that sort of like very, very, very subtle, but like important paradigm shift.
Yeah. And, the stock market did relate to wealth creation, after World War II and up until that point. And at some point it just got corrupted, and you could print more stocks. Wall Street just became about trying to maximize short-term profits. The government could print more money. So more money printing more stocks, just going into the system that people are blindly putting money into, that we've been conditioned to do that through Vanguard and, Bogley, I think is his name, or whatever. But like, and this, I think just because of recent world events or the last 5-10 years, more and more people have started to question it. And the ones that do are the ones that are going to be able to sit down and think deeply about, well, what should I actually put my money into, what makes sense, and really deeply examine all the possibilities without judgment. If you had been somebody that immediately dismissed Bitcoin because it was a scam, then now would be the time to at least look into it to see what's happening. And if you go a step further with meme coins, especially, like, what are you actually investing in with Bitcoin? It's just a meme coin with a strong community. Well, with SPX, like, we're very fully self-aware about what this all is, and we're taking it to its end game, and like making it the best possible expression, like financial expression of like humanity almost. I know it's crazy to say, but just looking at our backdrops, like, everybody can be unique. They can be their own self. It's very open. You can disagree with people and people will meet you with love. And like, that doesn't happen in other communities, certainly not in like traditional finance. So you're going to be looked at like as an idiot or whatever, but as like an evolution of humanity, almost, this is the natural conclusion, and that's just what I believe. And I know that a lot of other Aeons believe the same thing. So yeah, very well said, Matt.
I think you could break it down to scarcity and belief. I feel like that. So belief or desirability, however you want to put it. So people in the community want SPX, and then we're getting more people involved, and we're increasing conviction. This show, I think the main purpose of it is increasing conviction in people. And then a lot of other people have avenues to get more people involved. But my point with that is that's the same process that Bitcoin went through. You could argue the same process that gold went through too, just over a very, very long timeline. Yeah. Also, you also want to own things where trading is at a minimum. Like, there's nobody in our community is talking about, oh, I'm gonna trade here, I'm gonna buy there, like, no offense to the XRP community, that's all it is. Mm-hmm. It's a very ruthless little game they got. But they all like the coin, but they don't really. We actually want it, and we want to build our stack, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, I'm over the years of being in crypto, I sort of became more of a hard money maximalist than like someone who's a general believer in all facets of crypto that have emerged. Like, and I just see hard money as the biggest, most global opportunity. I have maybe a bit of a contrarian thesis that it's not just Bitcoin, that there's going to be a reemergence of this phenomena that will not happen like every other year, but it will happen like at disparate parts when the macro context and circumstances and demographics make sense. And I think people don't fully realize or appreciate that yet. And yeah, to your point, SFC, like, it really is about finite supply and depth and longevity and scale of belief. And Bitcoin is no different. Gold is no different. I think we'll see other things, other like hard assets and things that substitute as hard money in a world of like excessive printing. So these would be like other, kind of scarce finite supply commodities that are necessary inputs to the way we live our lives. So I think there's going to be like several of these types of things that in the world of endless printing substitute as hard money. And what gets me out of bed is I kind of want to be investing in a lot of those things, candidly. But what gets me out of bed is finding the thing that is like so out there, so cool, so off the beaten path, so early that people don't recognize it for what it is yet. And I think that's what SPX is. And, early on with SPX, I would talk to a lot of like friends in the industry, or even like friends who have nothing to do with crypto. I was just like, you guys should like look into this. I know it sounds crazy, but like, I think this is like something really cool is happening here. And you talk about like belief. And I think for right brain people, like, they go in and they fish around online and it starts to click. Like, they make friends, they're having fun. They're like, oh, I see what this is all about. And then there's like a lot of people I've worked with over years who are more left-brained, analytical types of thinkers. and belief is such a nebulous concept to them.
It's really hard for them. Yeah.
So that's why I did a lot of like thinking and work to come up with ways that I think you can objectively measure belief through some of the recent analytics I've shared around this like supply squeeze composite. And I have some others as well that I'm working on. And this is how you measure the depth of a belief system and compare it to other belief systems. And so now it's no longer a nebulous, pithy thing. This can be measured, you can measure this for all sorts of assets if you can get that type of information on them, which I think is like really, really neat and cool because it serves as a compass to a certain extent. It's like, yeah, the belief is deep, but the belief is also justified.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I did like your chart, but
dirty word.
We'll call it chart adjacent. No, but it was inverted. It was almost like you like to see it go down. So
it's not a price chart. It's more of like I think it's more of like how do you measure this social phenomenon?
Yeah. Right. No, it was good. I'm just
I was a little nervous about that, to be honest. I hope people are going to take this the right way.
It wasn't a price chart. So good, I think. There were some people who were like, yeah, it was chart adjacent, which I thought was funny.
Chart adjacent. It's a subcategory of no lewd. Would you talk about that metric a little bit and just kind of, because I've even tried to explain it to a few people and I'm like, I think what it means is this,
right.
Do you mean to bring? I could bring it up real quick if you want me to.
Yeah.
Think of it like, all right. So you have I don't know if you want to bring it up.
I'll try. You go ahead and start. I'll try to find it.
All right. The way to think about this is like a water faucet. Okay. So you turn on the water faucet full blast, and this is when no one believes, right? And there's just water coming out. And, think of water as like the token. So it's like anyone who wants water, there's nothing special about it. I could just go up and fill up my glass with water and water is going to be there. And this is like when water is always there, it's not that valuable, right? Like in a market context. So it's like, there's endless amounts of water. Like the water is running full blast. I could just go up and fill up my cup and get water. What's happening through the supply squeeze composite is as people are holding for longer and longer periods of time, the faucet of available water, or in this case, available tokens, is running drier and drier and drier, meaning it's going to be harder to get the water, or it's going to be harder to get the tokens. And this, in a market context, if there is like a market for this type of thing, which we all know there is because we're living in this market, there's many people that we interact with every day who are in this market, as well as adjacent markets who don't fully understand what SPX is yet. That's going to make over time this more valuable with the same sort of amount of demand. And so what this supply squeeze composite is doing is it's weighting towards long. It's like it's counting the coins that have been held for longer as like turning off more and more of the water, because actually like the value of someone who is held, this is like, I'm kind of like a simple heuristic, and the value of someone who is held for 12 months is 12 times greater than the value of like someone who is held for 1 month. Because if someone's just holding for 1 month, those coins are going to be in circulation every subsequent month, and they're always going to be available, right? Every month. But if someone holds for, let's say, like longer than 12 months, they're taking those coins off the market for a year. So it's like, imagine you're taking the water and turning it off for like a much longer period of time. And so you want to, it's much, from my perspective, forget about like how many people have been holding for a month. I care about how many people have been holding for longer than a year through all of the ups and downs and have not flinched, because this is like, that's real deep belief.
That's
right?
value. That's where the
You've
value
held through all, you have conviction. You've held through all the ups and downs, and you're still not willing to give up these coins. And so the more people sort of graduate into these longer term holder buckets, the better, because that means there's going to be less coins over the course of not even the next month, but the next year, you know, as people go out to the market and try to acquire them. And so like, today, the percentage of coins that have been held for longer than a year is over 50%, which is crazy. Like, you know, that means like all these people who held that coin for a year held through all the ups and downs. And that's like deep conviction. And so that's why I like looking at it this way, because it tells me like who's really around for the long haul and who like might be shaken out at a certain point, and like their belief is a little bit more like a little bit weaker, or still needs to be proven. And you know, I go back to this idea of like SPX as a trust machine. It's like once you've proved to me, you say, all right, I'm going to persist forever, and I'm going to hold, and I'm going to play the game, like this new sort of game that we're creating. You know, let's call it the post S&P 500 dollar cost averaging game.
Yeah.
And you show me that, you prove that to me, like you know, I'm using myself as an example personally, that you're going to do that over the course of the year. I believe you. I believe you're serious about this, you know, and I'm going to show you that I'm serious about it too, because I'm going to contribute to that.
Right.
And so the more people we have doing that, like over longer durations of time, the better. Like I think on that chart, you know, SPX is down to like 39%. And I was looking at ETH and Bitcoin this morning, and it took ETH and Bitcoin like 4.5 to 5 years to get down to 30%. So this is this belief is happening at like this depth of belief or conviction amongst the current cohort of holders is happening at a faster rate than like Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, like, you know, kind of you name it. And so I think it's it's just a really, really interesting observation.
Yeah.
I think some people were a little confused. I just want to clarify with you. This is the date, like on this chart, when you look at Bitcoin, you're talking about the day it began. So this is the same age for all these coins as we are.
So this would be like, I don't know, where are we in SPX's history? We're like 2.5 years in, right?
Yeah. So
this would be like midway through 2011.
For Bitcoin, yeah. Okay.
Yep. And then I think in 2013 is actually when you saw Bitcoin get down to around 30. And in 2013, that was the year I think Bitcoin ran on the back half of the year to 1,000.
Yep.
Where we're at right now, and I look at it from like that comparative lens, is this looks a lot like the Bitcoin $30 to $3 drawdown, where like which I think happened in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. So it looks similar. And what's interesting about this like pattern that I've noticed, that I've like done some research on with other people who are, I think like instead of studying assets, they're kind of studying this phenomenon or dynamic, which I think is interesting. We see it pop up everywhere. Like in every parabola, like we can go back and look at any asset, Dogecoin, Pepe, Chainlink, like you name it, it shows up time and time again. So I just think it's like there's something to it on a left brain side of things, but there's also, to Murad's point, I think in his last presentation, he's like, look, like the community and the left brain analytics, they're just two sides of the same coin. Like the reason this thing is going down is because our community is like super, super strong, dedicated, committed, creative, resilient, you know, that's why this is happening.
In your, I agree, but in your supply, in your how you calculated the 38.92%, what if it's somebody who, because I know I've done this before, I've created a new wallet, moved some coins around, but I didn't sell them. Is that
so? This is like the most conservative metric because it's actually counting those as like moved coins.
Gotcha. So it could be even better.
Yeah, I think like when you're comparing across networks, that type of thing happens across everything. So it's sort of they cancel out. They sort of, you can use like a law of large numbers. That's
gotcha.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I was just curious about that.
Yeah. So it's probably even like, you know, like I've looked at recently, I think it's like 5% of coins have been changing hands in the last month.
Wow.
And when you think about that, it's probably even lower. There's another extension of this metric that I've been working on like the last 2 or 3 days, which I call like the ease of squeeze metric, or it's how easy it is to squeeze, right? So this is telling you like how deep is the holder base and how deep is the belief, and like what does that look like over time at scale. The ease of squeeze is telling you on a dollar basis, based on the coins that have been on the move, like recently in the last month or 3 months or whatever, on a dollar basis, when compared to its market cap, like how low is the actual available liquidity before the squeeze like pops off. And on the ease of squeeze metric that I've created, it's the lowest it's been in SPX history as of today. So like, I think, you know, like I'm not one to like put timestamps on this. I think these things can actually I actually think one of the healthy things for people to acknowledge is like, these things can take longer than you might expect to play out. But that's why you have to persist forever, because we know like where we're going. We know what the objective is. We know it's like running a marathon, and you could be tired and on mile 23, but to know that you're like 3 miles away from the marathon, that can keep you going, right? Mm-hmm. We're accomplishing the objective that we've set out to, for at least this early part of the race. This is sort of like a lifelong thing for a lot of people, you know. I think like the mission extends far beyond the initial squeeze. But I just think it's good to know where you are on the field, and like, we're doing what we say we're going to do. I think Doge, like, you know, you look at Doge, Bitcoin, Ethereum, like you know, sometimes these things take years before they like actually materialize. So that's like to have the right expectations. Like we're 2.5 years in. And you should be thinking about this thing in years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have no doubt whenever the market improves, we'll do that much better. I'm kind of curious about your opinion on the market right now, since you are more of a market guy.
Yeah,
just overall market stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
We need advice from the high IQ Aeons.
I don't know about that.
Warren Buffett of SPX.
Act like everyone else, you know. You think like sometimes I still like ride the waves a bit, and I'm like, how have I been doing this for so long, and I'm still riding these waves, you know? But I think that's like, it's a hard market, and yeah, where are we right now? So, this actually looks like, from my perspective and some of the models and stuff I run, it looks like a typical 4-year cycle, which is weird because I was probably one of the people who was in the other camp ahead of this. I was like, oh, I think like structurally the market changed, the players changed, like maybe the 4-year cycle, it does make sense that the 4-year cycle is, you know, changing a bit. But watching the way it's played out, it looks like a pretty typical 4-year cycle. Bitcoin, like one of the metrics I look at is like, what is the cost basis of Bitcoin? So like, what have people actually paid for all the Bitcoin in circulation? And then where is it trading relative to the cost basis? And so right now Bitcoin's at like 70K. I think cost basis by my calculations is like 81K. It's kind of rare that Bitcoin trades at a discount to its cost basis. Like most of the time it trades at a premium. And so that like kind of fluctuates based on sentiment and where we are in the cycle. And I think we're close to the, I think we're turning the corner on this. I mean, like, sure, we could go into the 50s, like that would, or even the 40s, like, you know, it's possible, but that would be like pretty extreme, even relative to what I've seen in some other like really bad cycles, like FTX being one of the most painful cycles ever when we went from 70 to 15. Yeah. Like this Bitcoin in the 50s or 40s would like sort of rival that. And so I think coming out of it on the other side would be very, very bullish, because typically after you get an 80% drawdown, if the asset sticks around and the people don't leave, things, you know, you get multiples of where you sort of end up. So I think part of why I like trying to understand where we are in the cycle is just almost like keep, you know, I think a lot like a lot of other people, it's to keep yourself sort of sane and sound, like understand, okay, where are we in the game? Do things look like crazy broken here? No, it looks very, very typical. So, you know, I've had some early Bitcoiners even call me up to ask me like, is the whole thesis on Bitcoin broken?
That's a good bottom signal, honestly.
Which is like, you know, I'm like, no, it's not. And I go through everything with them. I'm like, look, it looks like a very typical 4-year cycle. Here's where we are. We're not out of bounds. Like, this is totally normal. And yeah, I think we're turning the corner.
You mean Bitcoin's not dead?
I can't believe this article.
You know, trying to kill Bitcoin is like trying to kill. It's like trying to kill a virus, but without a vaccine or something like that. You know, like once the thing is spread, once the idea is memetically spreading from mind to mind and is held independently by so many people, like it's just not going away. I think sure, like there's like the quantum question, right? There's like these types of black swan, tail risk types of things. But I don't think those would materialize. Like I think
don't those come up like every 4 years? I remember hearing quantum in 2022.
I mean, there's always something, right? Like there's always.
I just feel like it's the same arguments though, but I guess maybe technically we're closer to a quantum risk. Is that?
I mean, there's pretty heavy vested interest in this, in making sure this asset succeeds. Like, like a $1.5 trillion vested interest.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah. All the way up to some of the most powerful governments in the world who view this as like a game theoretically like strategic asset.
Yeah.
So, you know, and by the way, like these governments can all print endless amounts of money. So if they want to fund people to solve the problem, like if it's funding that is required for people to solve the problem, like it will get solved. And there's lots of smart people who I think are going to find ways to work together and are clearly capable of solving these types of problems.
Yeah. I haven't seen the miner FUD that I usually see. It's bad for the environment, it's killing things. I haven't seen that pop up this time. Yeah. Which is kind of interesting. I feel like the miners, nobody even cares about miners right now at all.
Yeah. Well, there's like, you know, sometimes the miner stuff comes up too in conversations that I have, but like, you know, 20 of the 21 million Bitcoin are already in circulation. So miners are only accounting for like the remaining 1 million,
right?
Which is what, like less than 5% of the total Bitcoin. And it's not going to be mined till the year 2140. So it's like, we're talking about such a small slice and sliver of the market that I don't think the miners carry as like so much weight anymore as they did many years ago when they were a larger share of the market.
Right.
Now, if they were mining like 5 million Bitcoin a year when Bitcoin was like 10 million, I'm making up numbers like
Sure.
But like if they were, let's say like they were mining like 2 million Bitcoin a year when there were only 8 million Bitcoin, that's like 20% of the total Bitcoin share. That's like a lot. They have a lot bigger role in what that means for the Bitcoin market than they do today.
Right. And I was really, the FUD I was talking about was the environmental FUD. Oh, it's bad for the environment. I haven't seen that at all, which is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't have an opinion on that.
Yeah, I don't either. I just found it. I remember distinctly in 2018, I was about to get into Bitcoin, and that got me out of it. That environmental FUD wiped me out. And then I saw it again in 2022. That 2022 resurfaced, not as bad as I feel like 2018 was like the worst. I remember like
it was bad at one point.
Yeah, but 2022 it came back, but I haven't seen it at all this time. I don't know why.
No.
Just interesting.
I wonder why. Like, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Why not?
Going on.
This goes back to the memes, right? Like someone was serving up that meme, and then a bunch of people were like hopping on the bandwagon, right? Yeah. And then it's like, I don't know. Maybe they realized that meme wasn't very effective, so they pivoted and they moved on to a new meme that they're going to serve as quantum, right?
The quantum one doesn't do anything for me. I don't know why this kept getting people, because it's so obvious that people will take care of it. So I'll just sit there and say destroy everything. It doesn't make any sense.
At the end of the day, I mean, it's like marketing and propaganda, and virality is virality. Like if it causes FUD, it doesn't matter what the message is. Like the goal is to cause FUD, which is why it's easy to FUD things too.
And I definitely see the world like I think through like very clear glasses, which is like obviously there are some people that are incentivized to support Bitcoin and want it to succeed, and obviously there's another group of people out there that are like incentivized to kill Bitcoin for whatever reason. And so of course they're going to try to kill Bitcoin. And it's like you could kind of trace it all back to the incentives,
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say, if this is your second time through, I know you've been around for a long time, Matt, but this is my second full time. And this time hearing it all, it literally doesn't impact me at all. The first time it did, it definitely when FTX collapsed. And then the whole Luna thing too, all that was at 22 was, I got freaked out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. And then the SEC was scary too. I remember I had a bunch of Solana on Robinhood, and then they're like, "You have to get it all we're gonna delist it or whatever and sell it for you." So I moved it to. That's actually what got me into buying a cold wallet was that. So I moved it, and luckily I did move it. But anyways, it was
I think that was one of the toughest stretches in Bitcoin's history because two things were going wrong at once. One was that because of everything that happened in 2022, crypto lost a tremendous amount of trust as an industry very, very quickly. So people didn't trust the industry because of what had happened. And then while the trust was decimated, simultaneously you had kind of like a regulatory onslaught that was also trying to crush the industry, right? So that was pretty bad because it's like everyone hated the industry. And so the regulators, it was like the perfect time to you just got punched in the face. Like, we're going to punch you again.
The regulators were bad.
Whereas now, I think there's been some loss of trust in certain segments of the crypto market, but the regulatory regime is more favorable. So it's not like a two-front war. And then even when I think back on, I don't know, historical FUD, like you're talking about SFC with the miners, you had that exogenous punch coming to the industry, but the belief and the trust from the people who were in it was still very much there to combat that. So the 2022 into 2023 period was like that was, from my perspective, like one of the tougher fights. Because it was also like, well, if people don't trust, if the whole industry has been like compromised in terms of trust, who's going to bid this thing at $15,000 to come save us all? Like, who's coming to save us? Like, and Bitcoin at $15,000, I'm trying to think, like, yeah, it was like this is a difference with SPX too. Like at that point, even at $15,000, I think Bitcoin was like a $250 or $300 billion asset. It's not like a bunch of individuals can come in and save it, right? But like when an asset's $250 million, like people like us can really move the needle. Like we can decide to save it without some big fish, because it's still kind of in our world. But like when Bitcoin was 15K, like no individuals were coming to save that thing. Like we needed like a real backstop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I remember that time too. It was freaky. It was scary for a lot of people.
It was.
And was a brutal bear market in the sense of I guess it was 2022 where it was back. It felt like back to back, either bad news, FUD, Luna, FTX, like everything bad that could happen, it felt like was happening.
I remember talking to a friend, like we would kind of commiserate together. We're like, and every time we said that, it got worse.
I can't get worse.
Yeah.
Brutal.
2023 was boring, I remember, but there was still that regulatory threat and some interesting, but price action it was just a very boring year.
Yeah.
I mean,
till the end of the year.
In 2023.
The end of the year, it went up on the ETF, the Bitcoin ETF news cycle. And so it's about to, which it did in early 24, and then it kind of topped out for a bit, and we went something like that. We went down a bit, then we started again.
Yeah, like I think if there was any stretch that was going to kill things, that was it. And we survived. So it's like, part of me is like, all right, like nothing is going to stop this thing.
But that's why I'm surprised there's so many OGs. I've seen quite a few testimonies from different people saying OGs are freaking out right now. I don't really understand that.
Like there are some OGs that like have clearly sold, right? That's like a lot of that's public information. When you look at that, like if you drag Bitcoin out on that supply squeeze composite, it's a tiny blip on the radar. Like on the whole, it's not really having a huge impact on like the broader picture for whether people believe in Bitcoin or not.
Right.
So even that is kind of like, to me, a little bit of FUD and overblown.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
How low is Bitcoin? Oh, sorry.
Look, some of those people invested like 50 grand and now they're like worth like $5 billion. Like,
yeah.
Like,
you might want to sell a few at that point.
Yeah. Like,
like I get it. Right. Hopefully. Yeah.
So on that supply squeeze chart, like if you were to extend Bitcoin out, how low is that percentage?
Like, I think it's like 32.
32.
It's also pretty low. But the thing about Bitcoin is like versus SPX, and this is like why I think SPX is so interesting and more resembles actually like an entirely different type of asset that is more akin to the earliest stages of Bitcoin. Like even when you're talking about like, let's say like, I'm just making up a number kind of, but like, let's say like 70% of the Bitcoin supply is not moving and 30% is. That 30% on Bitcoin is like $300 to $400 billion. So on a dollar basis, it's actually a lot. Like to close that gap, to fill that gap, it's actually a lot. And you need some like really, really big players like stepping in to sort of fill that quote unquote hole. Whereas, if you're talking about something like SPX, you're saying like, okay, on a 1 month basis, based on what's turning over, maybe it's like $15 or $20 million.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to. You can look at them at like headline face value and compare them. That's why it's kind of makes more sense to compare them at earlier points in their life against one another. Because they're just so different in terms of what the asset is today.
So the metric means different things as the
different
life.
things. It means different things at different points in its lifespan.
Okay.
Like having a really low reading on that metric when you're talking about an asset that has hundreds of that, like 100,000 plus or hundreds of thousands of holders, and is a $250 million market cap, is way more bullish than having the same rating on a $1 trillion market cap. Because like the question I ask is like, who's stepping in to fill the hole here on that, let's call it like remaining 30% or something. I'm just making up numbers right now, but like if you're talking about SPX, it's like who's stepping in to fill that hole? Oh, the 100,000 people in the Cognisphere, if everyone puts $100 into a DCA, like it fills the gap. That's how you get there, right? With Bitcoin, if the hole is like $300 billion, I'm watching Saylor go out and do like $1 billion or $2 billion Bitcoin buys. I'm like, okay, that's nice, but that's not like closing the gap. Like who's doing the $20 billion Bitcoin buys or the $50 billion Bitcoin buy? Like where's that money coming from? And like why am I not getting headlines about people doing this? Like, so to me, like when I say like we have like kind of the saying like aeons are in control, like institutions are in control of Bitcoin. You're just a passive participant in their game. You're not in the driver's seat in that game anymore. I'm not saying it's not a great asset and an asset you want to hold. I still hold Bitcoin and remain a believer in Bitcoin, big time. But like, it's much more fun to play this type of game with you guys, where it's like, we can actually like shape and control our own destiny, and like let's go out and do it together.
Yeah, you're early in Bitcoin from like an institutional perspective, so that's how that's where that's the early part to Bitcoin now, not a retail at all.
Like I kind of view it as like I've talked about this with a couple of people. It's like a game that graduates to different levels and echelons. So it's almost like, think about if you're like you're playing sports in elementary school, then to sort of like level up to middle school, like let's say you're a soccer player, like the expectations and like things you need to do are more, right? And then you get to high school and college and professional, so on and so forth. Bitcoin functions, and like the person who's dominant in elementary school or middle school, like might not end up being the dominant person in high school or college, right? In that same sport. It kind of works similarly with Bitcoin, where like it goes through these graduation processes. So it started with like, let's say the cypherpunks, and then forward-thinking retail. And then from there, like it graduated to like forward-thinking family offices and hedge funds. And from there it graduated to like smaller asset managers. And from there it graduated to BlackRock. And then from there it graduates to like the US government. But as each time you go up a level in the game, the players that matter change, and there needs to be a sufficiently large group of players that are actually willing to play that game. So like we have a sufficient, for where we're at in our trajectory, we have a sufficiently large group of people, like needle moving people that are coordinating and working together and playing this game together, right? Saylor needs, like, in my opinion, Saylor needs like a bunch of other people to step up and start playing the game with him.
Right.
Because right now there's a lot of rhetoric around like, oh yeah, like we're gonna play that, we're gonna get into Bitcoin, da 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 da. But like I just don't see a ton of movement. Yeah.
Meta planet to a degree. And
honestly, like, this is a little bit cynical. Like this is like sort of my like flip the 500 type of point of view. But like
Like
my cynical view is actually like a lot of these companies are incentivized to say that they're going to play the game and like, you know, kind of build this memetic brand around they're a Bitcoin, you know, BlackRock's affiliated with Bitcoin, like that. I'm sure BlackRock's buying some Bitcoin, don't get me wrong. But like, I think a lot of that has to do with like, well, they really just want to launch a Bitcoin product and charge fees on it and make money regardless of what direction Bitcoin's going.
Oh, for sure.
It behooves them to say, oh yeah, like we're now supporting Bitcoin. But like, are you actually buying Bitcoin? Do you actually believe in Bitcoin? Or do you just want to support it and create a financial wrapper around it and charge fees, you know, to kind of like help the bottom line? And I think there's like a fair bit of that going on too.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on that. I think the corporations are playing their own game. They're deciding whether to play it to the level that Sailor is playing it, but they're always going to be trying to look for like their bottom line and charge fees on whatever they can.
Yeah, like, and maybe like it's kind of so cutthroat at that level.
Yeah,
I mean it's cutthroat at every level. Like that's I think part of why we're trying to do what we're trying to do. It's like we don't believe the game has to be played that way.
Right. Yeah, and like even within our space, it can be cutthroat within this meme space, within like players, just regular people, for sure. But within the game we're playing it, we're changing, we're flipping the rules and playing like, look, we're just gonna band around this one asset for these reasons, and this is our mission. We're trying to flip this at this whole other Fortune 500 game that we can't even be part of. So let's just play our own game and have fun doing it. Like, why did you play sports in kindergarten? It was to have fun. You know, once you get to the higher level, it becomes like you need to win. If you don't win and you're not going to get that scholarship, blah, blah, blah. So like at every single level, you have to have fun no matter what. And I think we have to stick by that as we continue to grow.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you know, I really love this. Like I shouldn't say I love this industry because there's a lot of parts of that.
Yeah.
But I really loved like the reasons I got into Bitcoin in the first place that I find highly prevalent in SPX.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have done this for like the last 10 years if I wasn't having fun. So like, I know I love when I'm doing it the way that feels right to me, which is like something like Bitcoin, or something like SPX. It's always going to be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. On the fun topic, where do you stand on Wigs?
Do you have a wig?
I mean,
you need to be the final say.
In principle, like people should do whatever they want and they're having fun doing, in my opinion. You know?
Agreed.
Don't like the channel, turn it off. There's like 1,000 different channels in SPX. And the whole point I think one of the points of what we're trying to do is like, we're trying to embrace the mosaic that is humanity. And also like not fall into the sort of rage bait traps that are perpetuated and memetically fed to us by like the media, like divisive, like the media. It's like, who cares? Like, who cares? I get why. I do like, I understand both sides of it. I understand it's like, well, you don't want to sort of make that become the meme that turns people off. Like, I get that. But I think like, I replied to someone at some point where I said like, don't make the Facebook problem or like these social media, because I look at us as like sort of a social layer, a social network in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they censor people and they control what people could do. And like, I just think permissionless finance and like freedom sort of technologies like crypto, it's like, you don't have to agree with everyone, but you kind of have to embrace what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely have to like, even in just the idea of people doing cringe things to stay ahead of the FUD. Like in some ways, like the easiest way to deal with most FUD that could possibly be thrown at you is to front run it. And like whatever kind of cringe thing that people are trying to make you feel so stupid and embarrassed about, it's like, well, if you're already stupid and embarrassing, you don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of like some of the power of SPX, I feel like, and some of the like countercultural value in SPX is like most of the people here don't really care what you have to say. If you know, like it's pretty much going to bounce off most of us,
which I think
of the time.
which I think is like a huge asset, right? Like a lot of people are like open-minded but assertive at the same time, which is a rare combination, and like know what they believe in and know why they're here. And like, you know, if you're sort of like, if the wig is enough to drive you out of SPX, you're going to persist forever in the first place.
Yeah.
Good riddance.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. That's
Yeah,
one.
there's very little that's going to shake me out of SPX.
The wig almost did it. It was close.
It was close. I was almost there.
You know what's like also fascinating to me, because like in a lot of ways I almost look at this as like one point of comparison is like it's like a biological evolving organism of like lots of humans. It's like one lens I look through at it through, and the other is like this sort of like rogue like computer code, you know, in a way where people like things happen and then like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like one of the things that was like very interesting and surprising to me was how like this like let's call it like a PR moment, like for SPX, right? Oh, the wigs. Yeah. It actually like a bunch of people like ran with it, and it morphed into something like where like the PR moment was sort of like just became like one gigantic joke.
Yeah.
Yep.
And people were creative about how they like took that, like how you react to that, I think matters a lot. And I was kind of like impressed by like the morphing of that meme in real time.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
That was the funnest I've had. That's what somebody said. I know people are feeling bad about blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is the funnest I've had in a while. This is great.
Yeah.
This past week was hilarious. Because I remember I saw it and I was like, whatever. And then it turned into this whole thing. The Apu guys were going after it hard. And I was like, this is great. This is a good moment. This is a good moment to take an L and turn it upside down.
Yeah. Like you don't, SPX is kind of like this too. Like the game's only over if we say it's over.
It's true.
100%.
You
100%.
It's not
like we're the ones playing.
We're in, no, when you said Aeon's in control, that was the perfect fit for that too. Because we're like, okay, whatever, we're gonna roll with that. What were you?
I love SPX. I really do. I was just gonna say, like, I just
really do.
Just how we just handle ourselves and just. Yeah, like it's just so much fun at the end of the day. Like that's what it's about, and I just don't see the fun stopping. Like it's not about the price at all. It's just all these little things, these little mini games that happen on the timeline, and just seeing how other people react or other communities react, or just getting shit on by other people. Like it just doesn't affect us at all, is what I see. And like I'm like, this is where I want to be in and put my money on these people. You know, like if you're an investor of a company, like you're looking at like, all right, who is the CEO? What is his idea? Who's his team? You're betting on the people. And I just view it as the same way. Like these are the people I want to bet on. They're like, they're not afraid to show up or hide behind, you know, whether doxing yourself, that's up to you. But like, there's definitely a lot of people that are comfortable with being vocal and sharing their ideas and thoughts consistently. And, you know, these ideas are just so, you know, so out of left field almost, but they make so much sense given what's happening in the world. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad I've joined when I did, and going to be here forever. Like my kid's going to be an Aeon too. Like she has no choice. She says, I don't want her to be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer. You're going to be an Aeon.
I mean, you never know. Like as weird and crazy as that sounds, you know, like, maybe not to us, but like to the outside world. Like, you told someone in 1990. If you told someone in 1990 that a career path was going to be being an influencer. Like,
Yeah.
that's how you talk, right? I think the number of careers in the future, or like, you know, paths to wealth creation, careers, whatever you want to call them, the number of them that don't even exist yet, or like are impossible for most people to conceptualize, is very, very high and very, very large. Like, you could say the same thing about, go back to the 70s and talk about the internet. People would be like, what is, like, what are you talking about? Like, work for a website? Like, what's a website, you know?
Right.
I mean, you could have said, people would have even said the same thing about the people who were early in Bitcoin. Wait, you just bought this coin on the internet and then you just like went around the world and hung out with your friends and talked on stage about it? Like, that's the job? Like,
That's
job. And like, to just hold it forever. Like, and like, I mean, like, so I definitely think that is going to continue to be the case. And I do think this is one of the things I've been thinking about more recently, with respect to, I think, like, this general pressure that's out in the world that a lot of people are feeling around, like, how is AI going to change our job, you know, our jobs and our lives? I think it's like, to a certain extent, like some of the things, like, oh, well, I'll just do X as my job or Y as my job, like, might be so off the mark, because we just don't even have any like semblance of how it's going to evolve, that like, you're better almost just like not worrying about it so much and opening yourself up to like the possibilities and adaptations that the world is going to present you, SPX being one of them, right? Like, this is a route that we've all chosen. But I think there's like so much that will change in the next 5 years, that like, trying to think about what 5 years out in the future, 10 years out in the future, like, looks like with today's lens, is you're thinking around some of this stuff is gonna, like, it's just gonna change a lot.
Right.
Yeah. That goes back to like, just, you know, SPX being this like spiritual goal, this spiritual evolution. And I think, at least for me, you know, growing up thinking like, okay, you got to go to school, go to college, study something that has a high chance of getting a job, and then working that career. Like, that was what it was ingrained to me. And like, that turned out to be completely false, you know, just the wrong way of approaching life in general. And like, for some people it works, for some people, but for me, like what you just said about just allowing the universe to give you whatever experience comes to your way, and deciding whether it's intuitively right for you, is a much better way of living life, but still doing work. You're still putting in effort in whatever it is you're going to do, of course. And I think, you know, like, you know, we're about to have a daughter, my wife and I, and like, I would want to raise her in that way. Like, where I'm no pressure on you as far like in pursuing in any career path, but just having fun, enjoying your life, and then trying things, failing often, and learning from your mistakes. That self-reflection, I think that is going to be a big part of the next evolution, you know, in our species and how we move forward, because the people who can do that will do well. The people who can't will unfortunately fall behind. So I think SPX in that sense is a huge sense of that. Like, yeah.
Krishna, I think you're going to be a great father.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I'm just going to do the best I can, you know, that's it.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, this is like a set of soft characteristics around SPX, but I think it, you know, there's the 5 monkeys theory, which is like, you become most like the people you spend the most amount of time with, you know, most amount of time with. And like, a lot of the ethos of SPX is like, you know, being kind is gangster, right? Like, be a high integrity, be an authentic person, like, do something nice for like the people in your community, neighborhood, your family, your friends. Like, these are all just generally like good things to live by. And this is kind of goes back to the spiritual component of SPX, which is like, SPX does have this weird way of ingraining a lot of these behaviors in you, that in a more pronounced way than you might have been living them before you found SPX. Like they almost just become a little bit more crystallized, a little bit more clear. And then as you start to embody these things, you're going through your life and you're just kind of enjoying it a little bit more, you know, and like you're getting the fruit of that. And I generally believe if something as simple as like you go through life, you work hard, you fight for the people you care about, you're kind to others, you like just generally try to be a good person, opportunities are going to just flow to you. Like I've never met someone who was like that and acted consistently with those types of things and then didn't go on to live like, you know, sort of a great happy life, right? Like it's like the answer in a way.
Yeah, and especially considering like the divisive nature you see on Twitter in general, like people just hating each other for this reason or that reason, whether it's race or religion or politics, whatever it is, like all these beliefs that they have, and instead of like trying to meet the other person halfway or just understand them or listen to them, it's just constant like I need to prove my ego, you need to, and then they come back at you. It's just like that's their game. That's the game that they're playing. They're choosing to play, and honestly, like that nothing ever good comes out of that. It's just never. But like the people who have been able to transcend that and see like, okay, there's probably some truth on both sides. There's probably some areas where you guys are wrong, and just kind of like come together at a higher truth together. Like those people who consistently do that are the ones that I feel are gonna attract opportunities and whatever it is that they seek in life, because that's just kind of like how the law of the universe works. And and I see that
you know, I also think like your network of people who you like associate with is also like, it's just very valuable to you, whether it's like for advancement, for growth, for safety, like when you're talking about your family kind of being like the bellwether, you know, with anything that goes wrong in your life. The people you're around, like who you surround yourself with, this matters a lot, like a lot. And if you're behaving in that way that you just mentioned, Krishna, and you're acting that way, like people are gonna want to be around you.
Yeah,
you're like, okay, like I like this guy. He's like, or this girl, like they're just they're nice, good, kind-hearted person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Every Tuesdays I'm with these guys, so that's, you know,
it's a good crew.
Great crew.
Yeah, just I mean, also, you know, trying your best to be the best person you can and not having that ego. You could feel that energy from someone who has a huge ego almost immediately. It's like a negative aura, if you will, however you want to put it. And you could, when you're out of that mindset, which I would say, I think everybody goes through a period where they might have that negative aura to them. I don't think anybody starts not having it. And over time, when you eliminate it, you can spot it very quickly. And I immediately want to stay away from people like that. It's not a good feeling being around people like that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
It is kind of interesting how like there are certain like tenets of the cognisphere of the eon, you know, identity, whatever you want to call it. Like, I know for me, I'm really attracted to the phrase peaceful life over greed, and kind of talking about like, you know, just people being a good person or not having an ego. I think there's a lot of people that like at the end of the day, if you take away all of these external factors and stressors of like having to pay your bills and keep up with the mortgage and pay for child support, you know, whatever the things are. And it's like most people probably don't really give a shit about money. Like money stresses people out. Most people it stresses out. And like there's a certain amount of money that's like it's good to have because you get to pay your bills and you get to buy your groceries and you get to do all the things. But past a certain amount, most people don't really give a shit about money.
Mhm.
They might in their head think that like, oh, I want to buy a nice boat or like buy a bigger car or buy the bigger house or do whatever. And it's like, whatever, to some extent, like, sure, everyone kind of thinks about that. But for most people, that's not like the driving force in their actual life.
Yeah.
It's definitely not like for me and for most people that I know and interact with in the Cognisphere. Like there's plenty of people who have already found like kind of financial independence outside of this thing. And it's not so much a point of like trying to be free of their 9 to 5, although that's a big deal for a lot of people. But like, I mean, for me, like, I don't have an ego to like, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I'm going to die someday and like, no one will ever fucking remember me. You know, like SPX, for a lot of people, SPX is like, it's what you said earlier. It's an opportunity to move the needle in the right direction. For other people, because a lot of the people who are in SPX are doing this for other people, whether it's their kids, their family, their partners, whatever. And that's what a lot of people bring to the table with SPX, where it's like, doesn't really matter if the price goes down or up or sideways for however long, because none of that really has to do with what gives our life meaning. It
really doesn't. And you know, I'll be like candid with you guys, because like now I'm starting to approach like the middle age, right? I'm 38 and I've had some
You're so old, dude.
You look like you're in your 20s.
But I've had some I've had some friends like unexpectedly pass away and things like this, you know, with young kids, and
terrible.
And and you know, it's an unfortunate part of life, and like it's definitely painful. But you know, like this was like extremely eye-opening for me, because I've had some friends that, you know, financially, like they were like, to your point, Slow, like, you know, you don't really need that much. And, you know, you need like a sufficient amount to pay the bills and get by, and like, you know, do the basic things that every human like kind of wants the opportunity to do. But then like over and above that, it's not really what gives your life that much meaning at all. And I've had one of my friends, you know, he was like a coach. And I went to his funeral, and it was like the greatest outpouring of community love and support, and like that I've ever seen in my life. And I was like thinking to myself, you know, as someone who like works in the investing world, I'm like, no one would show up for me the way like I have not had this type of impact, or I have lived the type of life as my friend lived. And it just made me appreciate that so much more, because I thought about, you know, when that time comes for me, and it comes for all of us, like, are you going to want to be the person who like, you know, had a really deep relationship and a really deep connection with like so many people? Or is it going to be about like, you know, you sat in front of your computer screen and happened to be really good at charting and made, you know, ridiculous amount of money, but you didn't step away from your computer and like go like actually build real meaningful relationships and do meaningful work with people. And it's just very, you know, to your point, like I completely agree with you. It was just very eye-opening to me, and I was like, wow, like this is, you know, that's a way to live, man. Like, you know, he was young, but like he clearly did it the right way, and it was very inspirational to me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Did you have something to say, Krishna?
No, I was just touched by that story, because I think that's, you know, so many people try to chase money to prove their ego, but like in reality, it's not about that at all. It's about forming the deep relationships. And I'm at that point where I'm like, I want to get, you know, I'm living in this Pennsylvania. I've been here for a couple of years, and I'm want to get more involved in the local community and just kind of build those relationships with people, and just not for like any gain, just to like be there when they need, because it's just like a calling within me. So no, that's a very, very touching story. So you said he was like a coach or something, or what?
He was a coach, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, so like all his players were there,
Yeah.
and it was really, really special. But like on the back of that, I mean, like going back to like a little bit about what we're doing, like that's why it feels so cool to meet a bunch of like new great people and to try to do something really, really big together that a bunch of people think is batshit crazy.
I love it. I love that about us. Like, there's no one else I'd rather do this with.
Yeah,
yeah, it is so much fun.
It's kind of like I was actually reading something recently. Like, I don't know, maybe I was watching like some video clip on social media or something, but it was like this girl who talked about her father gave her a piece of wisdom, which was like live life by like the law of what you'll regret least. And I think I would regret not attempting to flip the stock market.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
No, there was been several times where I'm like, am I going too far with this? I'm doing an episode a week, and then I'm like, now I'm gonna do this live show. Now I'm gonna try to plan this event. At what point am I going too far with this? And I actually, whenever I first started whenever I first doxed myself, I was just like, that was the beginning. I was like, I'm just gonna throw myself into it. Fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah.
That was where it started for me.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. It kind of goes back to like people will be like, I'm sure like many rational minds would be like, no, you guys shouldn't do this. This is crazy, right?
Go back to get a regular job. What are you doing? Trying to flip the stock market?
Yeah. But you kind of find your people, and you're having fun, and you're learning, and you're experiencing, and you're building relationships. And like, look, anyone who's ever done something big in this world has been like crazy ambitious, and everyone probably told them at the outset like, that's crazy. I mean, people would have said the same thing about Bitcoin, right?
Oh,
but
yeah,
like,
for sure.
look what happened. So I think it's good to keep that. And SFC, to what you just said, if you want to flip the stock market, you have to go far, because this is like not easy. So you got to push it. And I mean, like, one of the reasons I'm an SPX maximalist is because the rational part of my brain says, if I'm really serious about doing this and I really want to flip the stock market and I really want to try to push the limit on, what is possible here, shouldn't I be going like sort of all out on it? Like, anything less would be doing this ambitious thing a disservice.
Yeah.
It would be taking my attention away from this. Like, I don't know. I feel like you kind of have to do that. If you really want to achieve the goal and the objective and like do something special here, you kind of have to go for it.
Well, imagine when most people are still working a job, that are in the community. Imagine when we get to that level where most people can retire, and then they could solely focus on this.
Yeah.
That's going to be so insane. And like the people, like, I don't know, like when this gets global mainstream attention, people will see Aeons for their character. Like, they're not going to change because of the money. They're like only going to be one to help out even more, whether it's friends, family, or community. Like, those are the kind of people that Aeons truly are. I truly believe it. And like, that just makes me even more excited and passionate about having to do this, like getting the opportunity to do this. And like every day I'm like, I want to go as hard as I can, but like there's life happening. But I think it's just so much fun.
It's honestly so awesome, because like, it's like for the first time in a long time. I mean, maybe Bitcoin is probably like this for me too, but like, I can't really think of anything else where it's like, you're all having fun, you're all becoming friends, and you all genuinely want each other to win, like genuinely, you know? And that's so much more fun than being like in other segments of crypto where it's just not really like that. Like this is actually an anomaly in crypto, even though it was also prevalent in Bitcoin, and it's probably prevalent in some other things too, to be fair. But it's really rare, and it's really an anomaly, and it's just so much more enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just thinking about crypto. Go ahead.
You and me are on the same time, dude. It is genuinely, it feels like engaging in a big game, a big social game for me. And I love playing games. I love strategy games. I love tactical games. And it feels like we're all getting to participate in the biggest MMORPG that's ever, been created. And it's a blast.
Yeah.
And like everyone who's playing wants to be playing the game. So everyone's equally crazy,
Totally. And there's like some peace in that, right? It's like, all right, it's not like I'm out there on my own. There's like hundreds of thousands of other people that feel the same way as I do. And there's probably millions more that don't know about this yet that will want to be a part of it upon learning about it. And there's side quests, right? You want to do like the running challenge. You want to do the book club. You want to go to events in Miami and Amsterdam, and like there's so much here to like to lean into if you want to lean into, and it's appealing to you. You can create funny videos, right? You could be a comedian, you could be a serious philosopher, you could be a jester reply guy, like you name it. Like you can create any role you want.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like we're gonna kill this whole crypto influencer industry that was just scamming and doing whatever the hell that they're doing, and just like that whole is gonna go away, I feel, or be much less than what it was before. And I'm really glad like that's like a side effect of the work that we're doing into. So
totally.
Yeah, this is a much better game. I think more people, regular people, are interested in playing. And I think against Bitcoin, like with Bitcoin, to be early, you kind of had to have some technical knowledge, I feel, to truly understand it. With this, like, it's not really necessary at all. It's like you can be whoever you are, and whatever your contributions will be valuable in the Cognisphere. You'll figure your role out one way or another. And like, this is awesome to see. Like, you don't have to be put into a box. Like, you can create the box. It can be a circle. It can be whatever you want it to be. If you just are passionate about something, you help people, even just talking about it or whatever. It's just, you're gonna find your people here. It's amazing.
Yeah. I did want to shout this out real quick before I forget to. T-Dog recently posted the ticketing for Amsterdam, so you can buy the tickets now if you're interested. I think there's still some left for like 69 SPX, which is very cheap. And then eventually it opens up to like $30-ish a ticket. So if you're in Europe or anywhere near Amsterdam, you should definitely go. I know it's quite expensive to go from the US. I was looking at flights. I started getting FOMO a little bit, but the flights are just outrageous. And I'm already going overseas a week before or a week after, so I'm not able to go. But if you're in Europe, you should definitely go. Just shout that out.
Yeah, I'm very jealous.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask if you were gonna make it or not.
I would love to go, but
we all would. We would all love to go.
It's very hard with my family right now. Like, it's just
I did want to state we are fully funded as well for the event in South Carolina. So thanks to everybody who contributed. So I've already paid off the venue. I'm already buying some of the art stuff we discussed and using the money. So we appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Yep. Matt, you're probably not gonna be able to go to my event either, right?
I may be able to go, but
well, dude, if you do realize you can't go, I definitely want you to be on a panel at least.
Be on camera, you said?
Be on a panel. Yeah, it'll be on camera. Yeah.
I can do that. I'm sure. It's just a family member's birthday, and I don't think it's gonna fly.
with your wife.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like a date. It's a date thing. I think like what's it on the 28th?
27th.
27th.
Saturday 27th.
Yeah, that's gonna be the birthday. There's a family member with a birthday on the 29th. And I know it's going to be celebrated the same weekend.
Just bring all of them.
Yeah.
To the conference.
Just have it at the conference. Everything's set up.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, one day for sure. Like, especially like when more of the world wakes up to what's happening here, my wife she'll be like, yeah, okay, let's go.
I'm waiting for that too.
I think they're still going to do one in Miami this year. I think so.
Yeah, like
there'll at least be one more. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I think the goal is to do that in December again. I think I don't know for sure about that, but I think Jesse mentioned it, so I'm pretty sure him and Grill Ape are going to lead that again.
With
Ilia. I don't know if it is.
I'm going to make it to one this year.
Yeah. So there's at least be one more. So and I mean, I'll plan on doing this every year because we've got like 40 people signed up, 40 or a little less, but so it's a good number of people. It's definitely achievable, and it being in South Carolina, it's much cheaper. I mean, it's not too bad.
That's how entire businesses started with Bitcoin. First Bitcoin conference, then blew up into some massive company.
That's true. It did. Did they like merge with Bitcoin Magazine, and now is it Naka acquired it or something like that? Isn't that? I feel like that's where it's at now.
I think so.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And Vitalik was a writer for Bitcoin Magazine way back when.
I've read that before.
Yeah,
he got paid in Bitcoin too, I think, to write articles.
Yep,
which is really funny.
Smart man.
Yeah, really.
I wanted to share a couple of other links too while I'm on the subject. I wanted to shout out Crazy Khalil. He's been commenting on the most random things ever. So it's just like me showing up. It's just like the most random shit, and then he's just like commenting. And there's so many different ones where he's doing this. So I just want to shout him out. And I wanted to shout out you, Slow, making reading the articles. You started that on the Into the Cognisphere channel, which is cool, and it's very good. By the way, you have a very good voice.
Very good.
I knew you would. I knew you would.
I love the art. I love the music you put in. It's perfect.
Thanks.
I love this idea, Slow. It's awesome.
It's such a good idea.
Because like a lot of people don't want to read,
Yeah.
No, right. Totally.
Like podcast version or book on tape kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. That was the whole idea behind it for sure.
Great.
So yeah, no, it'll be good. Even being someone who's a big reader and who enjoys reading, I don't know if it's all the technology interaction or what, but like I can tell it's harder for me now, later on in my life to like really just sit down and have a calm enough mind to like be able to sit down and read something for half an hour sometimes. And some people don't even have the time, but it's gotten a lot easier as I've gotten older to like just listen to an audiobook while I'm, doing the dishes or whatever. So yeah, I hope people listen to it and enjoy it. And I figured too, like
they will.
The articles have got to be some of the peak, of like the intellectual manifestations of people's ideas and emotions behind SPX. So it's in a lot of ways, it's probably the cream of the crop in terms of like some of the ideologies and narratives and stuff.
There is so much good content out there. Like, Plutermes, who I think wrote the piece, like some of his writing was the first thing that these were like the first articles I read that got me hooked.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like his one on consensus actualization, like,
is that the Cypherpunk Cathedral?
The Cypherpunk Cathedral. Yeah. I was like, this is brilliant. And he put into words something I could not articulate.
Yeah. I remember, I also, because you and I, Matt, probably got into SPX around the same like couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
But that article had a huge impact on me.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's got like, I think over 300,000 views on it. Like, which is really crazy when you start thinking about how many people have like, and you know, maybe not that many people read the damn thing, but like quite a few of those people have read it, you know?
I mean, this is like another thing that I think people are sleeping on, which is like, I think back, like he wrote that article, I don't know, maybe like March of 2025, something like that.
April 2020.
April, yeah. And I think about, you know, I've now been in the Cognisphere for a bit over a year, and will continue to be here for many, many, many years. I just think about how much this thing has grown and changed and evolved since then, and people still don't realize that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like the sort of like I'm smirking because I think that's sort of like the opportunity here for us, you know.
Yeah.
It's wild how the community is so much more massive, and there's so much more involvement. Back then, it was still just pictures, pretty much, and some videos, but it was it feels very small in comparison to where it is now, in my opinion.
Yeah, there were a couple of like protocols, networks, investments that I've like been in over the years. There's very few of these types of things, but there's a point where with a lot of these things that I've been, or the few of these things that I've seen that have been successful, there's a similarity that like hits me on a more gut oriented level, which is, in the beginning, you feel like you can follow everything. And then there's this sort of overwhelming point where you're like, holy shit, there is so much happening at once that I cannot possibly keep up with it. And this is like one of the most, in my opinion, from a gut orientation based on some like lived experience, this is like one of the most bullish things ever.
Yeah. No, I remember when that hit for me, I was like, I can't keep up with everything. I used to try to, and that was like an attempt I made, and I used to do it for some time. I can't remember what it was. It was maybe like July of last year. I was like, I can't do it. I can't. And maybe I wasn't actually doing it. I thought I was, but then it was like this realization, it is literally impossible to.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's just so much stuff.
That means the organism, the thing, the network is getting so big and complex and replicating in so many ways that you can't possibly see, that it's becoming much more powerful. Like, I think this is another thing about SPX to me that's been very interesting, which I was trying to find ways to see on the whole through some of those like analytics that I created. But I think people like peer through a little window. Like when you're first learning about the Cognisphere and SPX, you peer for a little window through a little window, and you see like one little thing that's going on with it. And then you, I think humanly, because this is like what human minds have the capacity to process, assume that that is like the thing.
Yeah.
But there's like millions of windows, all where there's all these things going on simultaneously. And you cannot possibly see all these things. And so it'd be like you have no idea how quickly like the cells are dividing, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's funny, even in looking in the comments of this chat, at least one person was like, I don't even know who Mung is, you know? And it's
I
like,
didn't notice that, really.
you know, when you start thinking about things like that it's like, even like Audacious said something the other day where he was like, honestly, the meme stuff is still new to me. And it's like, you kind of think about all of these
Mhm.
parts of the lore, parts of the culture, all of these different avenues, you know, all roads lead to SPX because there's so many fucking roads that
Yes.
you can take to get there, you know?
Yeah.
It is. It's hard to encapsulate it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's going to attempt to do it one day through a documentary.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
Yeah.
Well, STPC is making one for Amsterdam, like a little mini 5-10 minute documentary type thing, which I think will be
Mhm.
very interesting to. I think it's more like the history up to now. I think is the idea.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, like I don't know all the history. I feel like there's a lot of stuff
Yeah, right.
history that would be like super interesting and cool to learn about. Like
Yeah.
all the
Yeah, he
good,
dove
bad,
in
all the
deep.
good, bad, and ugly, you know?
Yeah.
He dove deep in the early stuff, so it's pretty cool.
That's
Yeah, I remember talking to Hype. He was like, because we were talking about the OG thing, and he was saying people earlier than him will not think of him as an OG. He said back then, people would not think of him as an OG. They think of him as somebody who was later into it.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the OG label will eventually start to be kind of meaningless, and
Yeah.
it'll just all kind of blend together.
It's a pretty loose label.
Pretty loose label.
Pretty subjective.
Yeah, Hype got in October of
We are
2024.
only like 2.5 years into this thing. Like, you know, it is super
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If you're here now, you
It's
are
like,
going to be.
imagine like like talking to someone's like nowadays you'd be like, oh, you got into Bitcoin in 2011 and not 2010.
Yeah.
Wow.
You were late.
so late.
Yeah. It was a totally different world back then, boys. I also another part of the thing of it was you saying like the cells dividing and whatnot is that there's really a lot of content now on most social medias too, with SPX.
Yep.
And so much so I had an old coworker like 2 weeks ago text me out of the blue and they were like, I was randomly scrolling on TikTok and then I saw your face on into the Cogno whatever and blah blah blah. And I was like, TikTok? Like I don't hardly do anything on TikTok. So it's like crazy that even through that avenue, they were like, what the hell? Like
And as we add more people, it's like butterfly effects on steroids.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's just I don't even think the brain can like comprehend how this idea is spreading.
Right.
And this went on with Bitcoin too for years before it like really hit people.
Yeah.
And I think today, like we might underappreciate, we might not see like like there's a process to, you hear about SPX to the point where you're like, okay, I'm in it and I'm a believer.
Yeah.
This takes a lot of time. And sometimes it involves like people repeatedly seeing this thing over time before they get to the point where they're like, wait, I'm actually going to buy some, or I'm actually going to start to dig into this. But the process of going through that, where we're continuing to like evangelize and get the word out in lots of different ways and like expose people to this through lots of different channels. Like even though it all hasn't fully materialized yet, it's extremely valuable. And it's like seeds that have been planted to grow in the future. And I don't even think we've fully realized all of the seeds that have been planted at this point, because they're not going to grow until like a year from now.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
100%.
If somebody was talking about what can we do to start the bull run or whatever, I'm like, it's something to that effect. And I was like, that we're not gonna, all we can do is DCA right now and make more information channels and more vehicles to get people involved. That's all we can do right now. Liquidity in the market, that's what we're all waiting on. But in the meantime, building that up to where when people do get interested again, they make the right choice, and they don't buy the trash coin that will eventually come out.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of am a believer that like it's all happening exactly the way it should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really am. You know, because the people who come in when times are hard are of a higher quality bar than the people who come in after it's already gone up like 2 or 3x.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, and they matter so much more, and like so it's like kind of the more people, the slower the process in some ways. It's like almost better.
Yeah, I agree.
If it's not a slow cook, it's a scam. I mean, not that this would be a fast cook, right? But like, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
And people, patience, man. We're patience. If you, I mean, it's really not that long.
Patience, yeah.
People wait. The typical returns, the typical S&P 500 return is like a doubling every 10 years, roughly.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is in a lot of ways like what I think about, especially something you said at the beginning, Matt, of having kind of like this contrarian idea or opinion that like this is a kind of phenomena that could be repeated in the future. And I very much feel that way. And I think I'm looking at it through the lens of like the previous generation created these like investment vehicles or turned things into investment vehicles, like buy a house goes up, 10x over however many years, or DCA into the index. And it's all of these automated behaviors and learned habits and all of that stuff. And I think in a lot of ways, what happened with Bitcoin was enough people recognized a problem and decided to just use this new mechanism to escape the machine. Yeah. And in a lot of ways, I think SPX, and I think this is why a lot of people refer to it as, Bitcoin 2.0 and like following the Bitcoin roadmap and whatever, is because I think enough people have been around long enough and observed the phenomena of Bitcoin to say all this is a coordination game. And I think what's happening with SPX is another generation is seeing themselves priced out of almost everything. And with like the looming AI threat, that is like very much here and very much prevalent. Like companies are laying off thousands and thousands of people right now. And so there's this sense in which we're priced out of everything. Wages are stagnant. And so what little I do have, there's no reason to invest in any form of traditional assets because they're too bloated to make a difference on my scarce amount of resources that I'm allowed to have.
Yeah, like they quite literally do not solve the problems that you're facing, right? So it's like looking for a solution to the problems that you're facing. That's right. It's like a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah. And more people, I think there's a lot of people who have been in SPX, sold, bought back in, realizing that there's really nothing else out there that is solving these problems on a big enough level with enough people involved and enough like energy and momentum behind it to have long-term, societal transformation at scale. In order to save an entire generation, of people. I think that's...
Yeah. By the way, that's an interesting signal. That's like the people that leave and come back.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something you see very often happening.
Right.
What was I going to say? I forget.
I hate that. And you know what? It always fucking happens too on these live shows. It's like, oh, I have a great thought. And then 5 seconds later, sometimes I'm in the middle of a sentence and it's like, and I don't remember what I was saying.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I know that definitely happened with Bitcoin for sure. I know. I remember. I've heard lots of stories about that. But
you just reminded me what I was going to say. With the Bitcoin, the reemergence of the Bitcoin phenomenon, this is kind of how it went for me. I said, conceptually, it could happen again. Logically, it kind of makes sense that it would happen again. Empirically, it actually has happened again. I just didn't really notice it, or characterize it that way. Dogecoin, GME, XRP, like these things that no one really understood why they happened. Then you're like,
right,
those are actually kind of like mini microcosms or examples of this. And then here where I am today, I'm looking at things, I'm saying, it is happening again. And that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it's already happening again. Because you look at the data and some of the things that I've talked about, it's happening again. You look at the zealousness, the passion, the people out on the streets, the people evangelizing, literally nonstop talking about it, like 24/7 to their family and friends, like when Bitcoin did. They were like, the annoying Bitcoin guy is now is like the annoying SPX guy. Like, you don't shut
Literally, up. I know.
Like we're all here on a Tuesday night, like probably late for us all after after work. Like we're doing this because we love it.
Yeah.
Like it's happening again, and that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Like I don't mean like it's happening again and the job is done. I mean like it's happening again in the sense that someone says, I'm going to run a marathon, and then they're on mile 2, and you're like, oh, it's happening. He's running the marathon, but he's still got 24 miles to go, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like, it is happening again. It's early in the race. There's a lot that we still have to do and complete and continue to push and work hard for, but it is happening again.
Yeah.
Yep,
for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Does anybody any questions from the audience or any other thoughts from anyone? Because I think we're about to wrap it up. And I do want to also say we appreciate you coming on, Matt. It's been
thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Great talking awesome. To you.
I would love to do it again.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
As long as you're willing to, definitely.
Yeah, no, this has been so much fun. Thank you guys for having me.
And I do want to announce too, next week Murad is going to be on, so that should be a fun one. So
I didn't even know that. I knew that.
I did tell you. I did say it several times. I think I said it. Okay, whatever.
You did.
Yeah, so that's.
I just like to exit.
Yeah, Matt, it's been really good to talk to you, man.
Yeah,
I'm so happy. Like we finally got to connect. Like
same.
So, thank you guys.
Yeah, same. I remember when Cal shared, I think it was a tweet by you, maybe like one of the first tweets you made about SPX, and I remember him saying something like, it was in like the Cognisphere SPX, raid chat on X, one of them, and he said something like, I don't remember. This is a good friend of mine. He's super deep into like Grayscale, or like one of the earliest Grayscale employees. This is so bullish. Like, be sure to follow him. And I've been following you ever since then, which was probably over a year ago. And it's been awesome. Always super insightful stuff.
Yeah, look, I think we're all on like the journey of a lifetime together. Like, I think it's gonna be so much fun for so many years and so long, and there's gonna be so many ups and downs, and then people are gonna be like, "Wait, why are you guys still having fun? Why don't you stop?" And at some point it's gonna start to click with them. Like,
wait, sorry, I just fucked up. Murad is not going to be on next week. He's going to be on 2 weeks from now. Ilia is going to be on next week.
I knew something was wrong.
I did fuck that up. Ilia, I see Ilia in the crowd. I was like, oh wait, next week is Ilia. Murad is in 2 weeks. My bad. Sorry.
Okay.
So you were right.
I was wrong too then actually because I said something about Murad being on
We
next
don't even know
week
what we're
with
doing.
someone too.
It's a complete mess over here.
All right. Well, I hope everybody has a good evening, and we'll see y'all next week. Ilia will be on next week. See y'all
Good to
later.
talk to you, Matt.
Thank you,
See you.
Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Appreciate
Appreciate
you,
it.
See you guys.
With you.